Hi everyone and welcome to my recent game collecting video from November and December of 2020. Quite a lot of game releases for last couple of months of the year, so it took me a little longer than I expected to at least try all of the games. But yeah, let's start going through them and see what I've got. So starting with November releases. Kankokuto Mary Skelter Finale, or just Mary Skelter Finale as it's known here in West, which I got as limited edition box. So it's a third game to the Mary Skelter series, and judging from the name Finale, seems to be a last game to the series. And yeah, it's really similar to the previous two games. Most of the game mechanics are same. Oh, and if you've never played the series but want to give it a try, you can actually watch all the story scenes of the previous two games in this game. So fun way to jump into the series by watching the story of first two games before starting this game. But yeah, most of the game mechanics are same as in the previous games. Some new little things here and there, for example the new nightmare effect called Baby Mare. I guess that's nightmare that's seen by babies. Weird name, but anyway. But yeah, outside of little things here and there, most of the gameplay mechanics are same, like the really fun blood system where your characters get covered by your enemy's blood, and when they are fully covered in blood they go into either genocide mode or into blood skelter mode, where you completely lose control of that character, but she becomes way more powerful. Bad thing is that they might attack your own party when they go into that blood skelter mode. But yeah, I really like that whole blood system. And there's one kind of fun thing about the game, how it starts, because yeah, in two first games they already introduced quite a lot of characters, and there's some new characters in this entry as well, so there's quite a lot of characters, but instead of starting with one party with all of the characters are available for you, instead you start with like 6 parties that are spread into 3 different starting dungeons, and as the game progresses the characters find each other in the dungeons and so on. So I think that is a fun way to start the game and slowly like introduce all the characters to the player instead of having all the characters in one party. And you can completely freely choose how you progress, in which order you progress those first 3 starting dungeons. You can always change to whichever party you want, wherever they are. So yeah, I think that's a fun way to start the game. So yeah, all in all, fun game, dungeon crawler. I'm a little bit worried because it's finale, so are we going to see anything similar in the future? But anyway, next game, Tensui no Sakuna Hime, or Sakuna of Rise and Ruin, I believe was the English name. And this I also got as limited edition. This game must be one of the biggest surprises of last year. When I first saw it, I thought, okay, that game looks quite cute, but I wasn't hugely excited for it. But ended up getting it, and I'm so glad I got it, because it is really fun game. So it has like two different gameplay parts for it. In one you are taking care of this rice farm, so almost like some sort of farming simulator with a little rice field. And I was so surprised how detailed that whole farming system is. For some reason I expected it to be something really simple that you can see, for example, in Harvest Moon games and so on, but it's so detailed. There's so many little things that you can do differently and see the results, how the little things affect the end result when you field the farm, collect all the rice and produce it to a final product. And yeah, I think the farming system is so much fun and it's really relaxing type of game. And the combat system is kind of like 2D action platformer. I think the combat system isn't as as fine-tuned as the farming system, but it's still fine. I think I enjoyed the combat system as well, even though it isn't as as great as the farming system. And also the story of the game is so great. I love how the main character Sakuna is introduced as a somewhat careless and lazy character, but when she is forced to go into this abandoned island and survive there with the characters that she doesn't know beforehand, so it is really fun to see how the main character kind of grows during the story as it progresses. So yeah, there's so many lovely scenes how Sakuna grows as a character. So yeah, I love the game. It's so great. So yeah, if you are interested in somewhat calm, casual type of game because of the farming system, I highly recommend giving it a try. It's so much fun. And next, to completely different type of game, Demon's Souls. So yeah, first PS5 game that I got, but unfortunately I don't have console yet, so I haven't even tried it. But Demon's Souls, the original game on PS3, was my first From Software game that I tried, and from that point on, From Software is one of my favorite development teams, if not number one development studio. I love their games so much, they are so so great. So yeah, I can't wait to finally try this game when I get the console. I love the original game so much. Wonder how much how faithful they kept like the controls. Have they for example made them a little bit more modern, because in the original PS3 game the controls nowadays feel somewhat outdated, almost clunky compared to more new From Software games. So yeah, interested to see how it is when I finally play it. And next, Zelda Muso, Yakusai no Mokushiroku, almost forgot the name, or as it's known here in West, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, I believe. So the new Zelda Muso game, kind of like the first Hyrule Warriors. Was it released on Wii U? When it was first announced, I wasn't hugely excited for this game because, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Breath of the Wild, and because this game takes place in the same world much before, 100 years before Breath of the Wild. And I haven't played huge amount of Muso games, so because of those two things I wasn't excited for this game, but ended up getting it because the Muso games that I have played, I've enjoyed them. For example, the original Hyrule Warriors, I enjoyed that game a lot. So decided to get this and give it a try, and yeah, I've been enjoying it. I think the mission design is a little bit more linear compared to the first Hyrule Warriors. I think the missions feel like it simply gives you targets where you need to go on the map and go there and fight some enemies and then go to the next point, compared to the first Hyrule Warriors where you need to a little bit think about how you progress through the map, because you needed to conquer these fortresses, and then they started spawning army members for your side, and thanks to those you could progress into the next fortress and so forth. So yeah, it feels a little bit more linear on the mission designs, but still really fun. And I really like the combat. It's so much fun because the characters play completely different compared to each other, so it's fun to try each character and find your favorite ones. So yeah, really fun game, even though I wasn't originally so excited for it. And next, Coven and Labyrinth of Galleria. Was it called something like Galleria of... No, what was it called? I can't remember the English names. Well, anyway, so it's the sequel to Coven and Labyrinth of Refrain. So another dungeon crawler, which I got as a limited edition. So, a dungeon crawler, and it's very similar to the Coven and Labyrinth of Refrain. Almost, well, most of the things are same, but with just small little tweaks here and there to the balance and so on. Mainly just more of everything, like more character classes that you can create and more weapon types and pretty much more of everything. So yeah, if you played the first game you know what to expect. I really like how you build so huge party of characters and yeah, the whole Coven system, how you combine the different characters to fight together and so on. I really like all the systems in the game. One thing that I didn't like so much, at least so far, I haven't finished the game yet, but so far I'm not as huge fan of the story in this game as the previous game, mainly because I found the main characters in the first game so interesting. I loved to see how the two main characters interacted together. I feel like the main character of this game isn't as interesting, and she's missing like the other character to kind of mess around during the scenes. So yeah, story-wise not so interesting, at least to me so far, but gameplay-wise it's more of the same and even better as the first game. So yeah, really fun dungeon. And next, to December releases, starting with Atelier Ryza 2, which I got as this huge premium box. So yeah, quite interesting to see how they decided to make another Atelier game with same main character. Usually they have new main character for each Atelier game, but I suppose it's because how popular Ryza was as a character. Everyone seemed to love her, and yeah, I like her too, so yeah, I like the idea of having another Ryza game. Haven't played it huge amount of yet, only tried a little bit of beginning of the game so far to see how the combat system works here, because that was my main issue with first Ryza game, how they completely reworked how the combat and also the alchemy system works compared to previous Atelier games. And yeah, unfortunately for me the combat system is still pretty much same as in the previous Atelier Ryza. It's not necessarily bad, but it's just not to my taste. I like more of the older style, completely turn-based, and you are controlling all of the characters in your party and so on. But yeah, if you liked the first Ryza game, I'm expecting you to like this one as well. I need to play more of it to see how it evolves throughout the game after the start. And next, Cyberpunk 2077, which I got as a standard edition, or at least I believe this is the standard edition. It just comes, all editions of the game come with a little bit of extras, little cardboard sleeve, some postcards, map of the city, and some booklet and reverse cover. So I heard so much complaining about the game when it was released, so I wasn't sure if I want to get it or not, because my PC is over 10 years old, so obviously I'm not going to play this on PC, and I don't have PS5 yet, and I don't even have PS4 Pro, so only platform I can play this game is my launch day PS4, and I heard so much complaining about performance, but decided to give it a try. Let's get it and try it, because I'm so excited about the cyberpunk setting and all about the game. So decided to get it, and when I was playing through the main story, I was wondering what are the people complaining about. I can't see any difference to the usual third-party open world games on consoles. It's pretty much same. But when I decided to start exploring the city and do some side activities in the city, I noticed, okay, now I can see why people are complaining so much. It's funny how huge difference there is compared with the main missions and the open world when you start exploring it. But I suppose it makes sense, because the main story missions always take place in these much smaller, more controlled environments, so the performance issues are not as huge. Still there is the somewhat low frame rate, but at least for me it wasn't a huge issue. But when you start exploring the city and the open world, there's loading issues, really low frame rate, and so on. Huge amount of different weird bugs and glitches all the time. But yeah, when for the main story, I hadn't any issues. I enjoyed the game, and even the city, when you are exploring it, 1.1 patch seemed to already make the performance a little bit better, so I'm excited also for the next patch 1.2, how much that improves the performance in the city. So yeah, I guess that's enough about the performance. How is the game itself? At first I was a little bit disappointed to see how, should I say, shallow the RPG mechanics are, because it was advertised as this huge branching story and so on, with a lot of choices and so on, but in the end it's actually more like linear action game than usual Western RPG, because it feels like the main story, for example, it always says, okay, here's what you need to do and this is how you are supposed to do it, so there's not a huge amount of choices in the main story, which makes it feel more like linear action game than actual RPG. But yeah, after getting used to that, I did enjoy the game. I love the cyberpunk setting, a lot of bright colored neon signs and so on, and the whole body modification theme about cyberpunk. I love that, and yeah, I do like the main story, even though it was much more linear than I expected. I still really like the whole premise of the story. I suppose I shouldn't spoil it for anyone who's still waiting for it to get patched more, so they can enjoy the game better. But yeah, all in all, little bit different than I expected originally, and at least to my standards when it comes to performance, I hadn't huge issues when playing through the main story. I still need to go back and play some of the more of the side story missions, because I didn't play much of those, and also wait for more patches to enjoy exploring the city in the future. But yeah, at least I was able to enjoy it even with the performance issues. And next, Dokapon up Mugen no Roulette, or Roulette of Dreams, which I got as a limited edition. So it's the new game to the Dokapon series, which is this party game, almost like board game style party game. But the twist here is that the game includes the characters and story from Utawarerumono series. So yeah, I haven't ever played any Dokapon games, but I really like Utawarerumono series, so decided to give it a try, because it seems like fun party game. So far I've been only playing the story mode, which slowly introduces the different game mechanics to the actual party game mode. So I haven't even tried the actual party game mode yet, but so far I've been liking the game. It's quite fun. So the basic idea is that everyone on their turn spins the roulette wheel and moves the step of the number, and depending on the different tiles where you land, you get different events. Like, for example, you can fight enemies to level up your character to become more powerful, so you can maybe fight other players and so on. So yeah, seems like really fun party game. When it comes to the story, it is somewhat funny, clearly a spin-off non-canon story because of how weird it gets. But yeah, it's quite fun, it seems like. Can't wait to finish the story and try also the actual party game mode. And next to the last game here, go, Jigen game Neptune Reverse, or I believe it will be called just Neptunia Reverse here in West. And this I also got as a Go edition. So, weird name aside, it's actually just a another re-release of the first game in the series, which is somewhat disappointing for some, but yeah, I suppose it's a fine way to kind of bring the series to new generation console. And yeah, because I don't have the new console yet, I haven't played it at all. But yeah, I do enjoy the first game in the series, but yeah, to be honest, I'm not hugely excited to play the same game again. But I do want to see the new little things that they added. I believe there's some new features in the game. Most of them are somewhat irrelevant, like I guess there's a fishing system and so on. So little things here and there, but nothing major compared to the previous releases of the same game. And yeah, that's all of the November and December releases that I've got so far. Not any other game purchases recently, or at least physical ones. I did buy some digital smaller games, some older indie games from winter sales. For example, I really ended up enjoying Celeste. I think that might be one of my favorite platformer games of all time. I'm glad I ended up finally playing that. It's so challenging towards the end. I really liked completing the seaside levels. Those were so perfectly for my skill level. I felt always like, okay, if I practice enough I can beat this, and I ended up beating all the seasides, but that chapter 9 seems to be way too hard for me. I can't finish that without the assist mode, but yeah, maybe I should practice more and try again. But yeah, I guess that's everything. Few days ago there was a couple January releases, limited editions that I believe are shipping right now, so those should arrive in a week or two, so couple unboxing videos coming as soon as they arrive. Thanks for watching and bye!